Hello? It's the ice machine. It was the ice machine. I'm so not used to that. Okay. Hello, everybody. I am here with my buddy Cole, and this is going to be, in addition to Final Do It Fridays, I'm going to post weekly workouts. I'm already halfway through my workout. The camera didn't get the first half. I forgot to hit record. So we're on the second half, but just know that the first half includes about 30 minutes of high impact interval training. That's basically running and walking, often on that treadmill back there. I also do some PT exercises for my physical therapy. As you can see, I am all taped up, and in a minute, I'll talk to you guys about that. Just expect a little cut screen with me talking about the tape. I start with my PT exercises, I do some run, I do more PT exercises, and now I'm about to work on core and arms. Today's Monday, so I just kind of do everything on Mondays because I take the entire weekend off, all Saturday, all Sunday. It's just what seems to work best for me. I'm up here in Eastern Washington, and you would expect it to be not too hot at this point in time, but we're looking at about 94 degrees. And Cole here really wants to be out here with me, even though it's hot. So rest assured, he's got water, he's got access to the inside with the air conditioning. The door is open for him to go where he wants, but he wants to hang out with me today, so that's what we're going to do. Yeah, welcome back. It's been a hot minute since I've showed up on this channel. If you're on my Patreon, you already know what's up. But yeah, it's time for me to come back, make my return, and I look forward to you guys joining me on this journey. Let's do it. Hey everybody, it's Lucas, and I'm currently burning the midnight oil, if you can't tell. I'm in here, I'm popping in to explain why I have tape on my knees, feet, and shoulder in this video, and I'm going to try and do it concisely. So, I have a little bit of a script. For hypermobile patients, such as myself, taping works primarily as a neuromuscular feedback and proprioceptive aid. It's not really a brace, because bracing actually long-term can decrease your muscle ability and your mind-body connection. It's more of a cue, just a constant cue to your nerves to tell your brain to use your muscles. And so in this case, the reason for that is because hypermobile individuals have reduced proprioception, and that has to do with the fact that our ligaments are lax and the sensory receptors in our connective tissues just don't give a very strong or accurate output. The tape stimulates the skin's mechanoreceptors, and that sends a steady stream of sensory input to our central nervous system. And that heightened sensory feedback, which is happening as long as you have the tape on, whether you're using your muscles or not, it helps us subconsciously adjust our joint position and muscle activity, which improves stability and muscle strength and muscle responsiveness without conscious effort. Well, without much conscious effort. That tape, which has kind of a gentle stretch and pull instead of like a forceful encapsulation of a muscle, it cues your specific muscle groups to activate sooner and more consistently. It's very similar to if you're working with a personal trainer and you go to do a movement that you're not familiar with, and your personal trainer taps a certain muscle group in your body, and then your brain thinks, oh, right, I need to use that, and starts using that muscle group. It's very much the same, except it's a 24/7 feedback. So I get my tape usually on a Monday, and I wear that all the way through Friday if I can make it last. And then I have Saturday and Sunday off. One of the benefits I've seen with the tape is not only am I finding that I'm able to make more consistent progress with my physical therapy exercises, but I also feel like I have more confidence in my muscles and my abilities even when I don't have the tape on. So I'll run even though I don't have the tape, which is not something I was willing to do before. And I actually felt confident to start running again once I started taping, because I, 2 years ago, sustained an injury due to my hypermobility while running, and I was afraid to hurt myself again. But with the tape, I feel a lot more confident. So that's me just briefly explaining tape. Important note for anybody who is hypermobile or is thinking about helping a hypermobile person by using taping techniques, should only be done by a professional or somebody who's very familiar with taping. And also important to note, hypermobile individuals have a high likelihood of being allergic to various forms of adhesive. I am still mildly allergic to this white tape here, but not nearly as allergic as I am to this brown tape. So the white tape called cover roll goes underneath, and this brown tape is called leukotape P, and it sits on top, and that's what does the bulk of the work. So yeah, now back to your regularly scheduled programming. Well, you won't see Cole in the rest of this video. Turns out he wanted to come out here because he wanted to pee. He's not allowed out here now. He just peed on my gardening equipment. Mischievous little fucker. So my cooldown today, I guess, will be cleaning out my gardening stuff a little bit. But that's okay. You know, he didn't know. He thinks he's outside. Technically, this isn't inside the house. I get it. He's also never been out here before. So anyway, back to the workout. It's time to give you guys a bit of an update. So from what you've seen, I've really not been very much online. I went ahead and took a hiatus over summer, jumped down to only publishing one video a month through August, and those are just little videos detailing my little adventures and various experiences over the past year that I just wanted to share with you guys, and also to give myself some space to recover from the election. I know that sounds kind of wild. I had to take a break just because a certain person showed up in office, but that's the truth of what it is for me, unfortunately. So here's the lowdown. January 6th, 2021, I watched what happened and made a decision that I wanted to prevent stuff like that from ever happening again. I wanted to combat extremism, especially in the sense of Christian nationalism, which is the type of environment that I grew up in, that my parents are still in. You know, my father recently passed, but he died an ardent Christian nationalist, more so than he ever was when I was a kid. And I decided I wanted to combat that. So I went to school and got an intelligence studies degree. And my concentration was in geospatial intelligence. And the idea was I would jump into the military for a short commitment, 6 years, 4 years, whatever. Get the training and experience that I would need that would look really good on a resume while also having consistent health care and pay for my family. And then I would jump into a 3-letter agency and get on a division that would help me achieve my goals. What many of you, I'm sure, are already aware of is that one of the very first things that Orangina did when he stepped into office was to ban transgender people from serving in the military. So while I was mere weeks away from MEPS and all that fun stuff, everything was just kind of snatched away. The goals, the ideas, the opportunities. This impacted my family in a lot of ways and definitely caused some anxiety and some distress for us because we are a military family. And a few of my friends are transgender and were service members, and they're getting screwed over big time right now. I got a lot of feelings about it. So do they. It's not just like 3 or 4 people, not that that would be acceptable, but this is thousands. This is thousands of service members who gave years, sometimes over a decade, sometimes 2 decades of their lives to serve the country and serve the Constitution and serve the people, but they're offered no retirement opportunities. I've got a friend who served for 18 years. She's well within what's called sanctuary, to where she can be asked to retire and she would still receive her benefits. But because she's transgender, that's not an option. Some people accepted voluntary separation, which includes a small payment, and some people did not. But everyone's pretty skeptical as to whether or not they'll actually receive that payment. And it's not just impacting them as individuals, it's impacting their families. I mean, you've got a lot of military spouses are chronically ill, or, they have kids who have high support needs, and they're losing access to healthcare, they're losing access to community resources, they're losing access to a lot of stuff. So it's been really challenging to be in this community that doesn't really want me or people like me in it. And what's even more unfortunate is that I am of the belief and the understanding that this is an unlawful order, and everybody's just accepting it. As a service member, you have a right to refuse to comply with an unlawful order, but everybody's just doing it. And that's been the hardest part. So that was in January. That happened while I was out on my honeymoon in Germany. And I came back and I just had to figure it out, really. I was very, very depressed. It was really grim, really dark. I had put so much effort into a future that was no longer possible, and even if it was, I don't think I would want to be a part of that. From the time Orangina was elected, I started applying for jobs because I had a feeling. Unfortunately, the job market where I'm at is pretty stagnant. There's not a lot of opportunity, and the opportunities that are available require certifications or experience. It's a lot of medical stuff that I just don't have. One of the opportunities that I applied for was to go into the Disney College program, which allows you to go to Florida, to Orlando, to get training for, well, pretty much whatever job they need you for. 30 hours a week minimum, minimum wage pay, you live in company housing, and it's 6 months minimum. And it's rough, it's a challenge, it's exhausting. You get the shitty hours and the shitty shifts, and you're the first to get cut, and you're the first to be called when they need somebody last minute, and you're the first to get in trouble when you mess up. But that was kind of the only opportunity that really stood out to me. I had a few other job possibilities. I made it to second interviews on a couple of jobs, but ultimately nothing came of it. And so that was the plan. I was going to go do this thing at this place in Florida, because I felt like I had no other options and I needed to do something because I want to be able to have a future with my family. I want to be able to retire at some point. I don't want to have to worry about end of life care. But then in June, my dad died. Well, he started dying. Well, I guess from the minute we're born, we're all basically dying, but he'd been sick for a little while, and I got the call from my mom that it was time to come and say goodbye, so I went down to where they're at in Nevada and sat by his hospital bed for a few days. And while I was there, I took notes on my thoughts and feelings, because I know that I tend to get overwhelmed in situations like that where there's a lot going on. It's a high trauma situation for me. That's a hospital that I almost died in. My parents are really, really transphobic, homophobic, and their whole support network, their whole community is Christian nationalist, except for a couple of individuals. So it was a lot, and I knew I was going to need to write stuff down. And so as I was there and I was writing things down, I kind of realized that, like, my dad, his whole life, he was a workaholic. He hated his jobs. He would get very angry with his work, but he would spend more time doing that than he would with his family. He didn't take time for himself. And I think some people would consider that an admirable quality, but I don't. It's not what I want for my life. I don't want my kid to show up to my deathbed thinking, wow, this person's a stranger. Like, I don't really know anything about them. I don't want that. I also don't want to be in the situation where my spouse doesn't know how he's going to cover medical bills and funeral bills that accrue, in the case that I die before he does. And I also want to be able to spend time in my community, just taking care of people and giving back. I have hypermobile spectrum disorder, which means that my body is extra bendy, extra stretchy. And so I have subluxations and occasional dislocations way more frequently than the average person. And that means that I spend a lot of time in physical therapy. Over the course of June, I really made that decision of, okay, I'm going to become a physical therapist. That's my next pursuit. So, yeah, that's kind of what I've been focused on since June, is just getting all my ducks in a row for applying for DPT programs for the next cycle. And it's been really good for me. It's hard to describe the pit that I was in motivationally, emotionally, because I had just had such a lost sense of direction. I function well when I've got a goal. I function well when there's either something for me to fix, someone for me to help, or a goal that I'm working toward, and this is that goal. So, yeah, you're going to have another year of content for me, of study with me, work with me, write with me type content, and on top of that, I'm going to be taking better care of my body, but there's some genetic testing that I need to get done. Because as it turns out, my family on my dad's side has a genetic predisposition to developing non-small cell lung cancer in their 60s. If not caught immediately, it spreads pretty rapidly, becomes stage 4 pretty quick, and goes to your bones and brain and other areas of your body. My dad dealt with it. My grandmother dealt with it, and her grandfather dealt with it. And so far, nobody's survived. My uncle's not doing great. So, yeah, I'm just going to do everything I can to take as good care of my body as I can, so that if I do have that genetic predisposition, when the time comes, I'll be strong enough to fight it off, you know? This year's just been a lot of everything coming into focus. And it's been a lot, but I think I'm in a good place now. And I'm really excited to kind of bring you guys along with me for that. I know this channel's gone through a few different iterations. I know we used to be the Jackalope tribe way back in the day, and then I attempted to do the page turners, but it just doesn't flow. So we're changing it up again. If you're a subscriber, welcome to the flight. Our mascot is a pigeon, because I love pigeons. And yeah, basically, if you click that subscribe button, you join the flight. And we're just a group of people. Well, group of pigeons. We're a group, and we're here to push for our goals, encourage each other to push for your goals, and to share community, share ups and downs, and celebrate the ups, and offer support in the downs. And in the in-between moments, man, we're just trekking together. And that's what I want to foster through this channel. So it's definitely going to become a lot more of a vlog style like it was at the very beginning. But I'm still going to have Final Do It Fridays. You might see some guest appearances with my kid for Final Do It Fridays, because body doubling is really, really impactful for both of us. And we're going to do some work with me, write with me sort of stuff. And we're also going to do some workout with me sort of stuff. Just exercise motivation to sit down and accomplish whatever your computer-based tasks are, and motivation to get up and complete whatever your home-based tasks are. All that to say, I'm glad you're here. Welcome to the flight, and let's do it. Oh, one more thing. One more final thing. I know I changed my name 1,000 times. You guys, 1,000 and 1,000, like 1,010 times. This is the last name change. One of the things that I realized when applying for jobs was that the name I had chosen, based off of a Warhammer character, is hard to pronounce and not very hireable, unfortunately. I loved that name. It was a good name, but it was also relatively gender neutral, and it just had a lot of complications. Spelling it over the phone, tedious. Trying to communicate that name in really any environment, tedious. I've had a stage name off and on over the past 8 years, and I'm just tired. Tired of stage names. So I'm just gonna go by Lucas. I'm gonna do a video talking about picking a name, what I've learned about picking a name I didn't like, and about picking a name that I liked but was difficult for the general populace, and the kind of pros and cons of different types of names that you could choose. So, my sign on will be, hey everybody, it's Lucas, and welcome back, or welcome for the first time if you're new. That's gonna be my sign on. And then my sign out is, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you saw today and you want to see more, hit that button down below and join the flight. Remember to turn on your notifications and hit the like, because every click is a coup of satisfaction. I don't know. I haven't figured out that bit yet. But we'll workshop it. I don't really know what my goals are with this channel other than just to kind of build community and share and communicate with y'all. So I'm just going to stick with that for a while. Thanks. Okay, I'm out of here. Bye.